Please welcome Noah Cyrus.
Hi. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
The look is
Giving.
giving.
Thank you.
One more time for the look, please. I'm excited.
Me too.
Um,
Thanks for being here with me.
I'm so happy to be here. Your new album is incredible. I'm so happy the world gets to hear it. I want my loved ones to go with me. And so, before we dive into it, how are you feeling now that it's out in the world?
Relieved. Just so relieved. I got off of tour of the last record in 2022 and went straight to work. So, it like so many mixes, so many drive tests. And this one was difficult because we were in different places. So we didn't get to do our annual, driving tests of the songs.
We usually drive around and listen to our demos or our mixes in either Noah or mine, usually your car.
Well, that's since you got a brand new car. Now your speakers are amazing, but you
Yeah.
had that super dope car.
I used to drive like a hoopty from the 60s, and so the speakers
I would
were
much rather ride in his car, but for mixing purposes, we would ride in my car.
Uh-huh.
But now you have like the best sound system I've ever heard in my life. So I literally was gonna call him and be like, "Can I drive your car while you're out of town and listen to my record?" But yeah, I was asked about today and who I would want to have here kind of leading this conversation because I suck at conversating and leading them. So I wanted to pick someone that inspired me and makes me a better artist and inspired actual music on the record. And you were the first that came to mind. And so I'm just so happy that you got to take a break from your Broadway superstardom to come and be with us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. But I'm so excited to talk to you about your album. You and I have talked a lot about growth and transformation over the years. It's actually very much what we became friends over all those years ago. How would you say this album captures the version of you that exists right now?
I think because I've been doing this for 10 years now, and each album has been almost like a representation of like that age I was. I started when I was 16, so Make Me Cry, I was 16. My first EP, I was 18. First record, I was 21. 22, I was touring it, and now I'm 25, and that's a pretty big jump. And so I just think there's a lot of growth in perspective and in comfortability in myself and my songwriting, and also just being able to put the feelings of a woman, somebody that newly has figured out how to live life and be a functioning adult on their own, and that's quite scary, and I got to put a lot of that into the music, and so I just think you hear a lot of that giant transformation within this record.
Yeah, I hear that for sure on this album, and I think you always, even on your last album, I think you do such a good job of sharing with us what you are going through in your life. You're very vulnerable in your lyrics, and you include so much of yourself in your music, which, just to let you know, you would hope that that is what every artist does, but it is not, and it is a very special thing, and it's less and less common these days. So I love that you do that. Thank you for doing that for us.
Well, you do that as well, because with both of our last records, we looked at like 3 songs and we're like, wait, we both have a song about this. We both have a song about our grandmothers. We both have a song. I admire that about you. It's the Capricorn.
Exactly. We're very similar.
We're very emotional. Very emotional.
This is also your first time co-producing an album officially.
It is.
And how did stepping into that role shift your relationship to the music?
I think that first of all, having a team and a co-producer that wholeheartedly supports your vision and wants more than for themselves to make this album and it be their greatest new work, but wants more than that for you to be proud of it and for it to be the perfect representation of who you are. And that was the first step. Is I knew I was making another record with Mike, and having his support, and like just his main goal was like, I want you to be happy, because he did see I had such a specific vision. And this is where that co-producer role came on, was just because it turned out what I wanted was so specific, and the only person that was going to really make that happen is me, because it's in my brain.
Yeah.
And so he really got me just to trust myself, and I gained a lot of confidence in there. And I think like through band rehearsals and stuff and working with my musical director, like I always have so much fun working on, you know, drum pieces and dynamics within the band and how that comes together. And so I just took the instinct of that and everything I love about putting a show together, and all came in handy for making the album.
I love that confidence has come to like a forefront realization for you, but like because you've always had that way to you. Like I'll give you a little tidbit from, I remember when on your last album when you were doing the song Hardest Part.
Okay.
And I remember, like, if you guys remember that song, there's like that crazy drum solo that happens throughout all of it, and like that was all Noah. Like I wish you could have seen Noah like in the studio, like with Mike being like and then like they'd play it and Noah would be like, no, like crazier, like it's amazing.
Just banging on the wooden table.
Yeah, you've always known what you want. It's great to see you realizing that that's what you've always known. But yeah, working with Mike and also working with PJ Harding again. What was the energy like? What makes that energy special with like you and PJ and Mike? What do you think? It's the trust? Like, what do you think brings that together?
Yeah, I think it's the trust, but also that we're three people from way different parts of the world. Mike is from Ireland, PJ's from Australia, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I think we all have these different flares and parts of ourselves that, you know, make the gang so special. And but with PJ and myself, like, you know, again, doing it 10 years, I grew up going to a lot of pop sessions, and you're with a lot of new people weekly, new producers, new writers, and that caused a lot of anxiety for me and just wasn't really for me. But when I met PJ, we just kept making projects, and this is our fourth project together now, including one being our own side project. And so it's just kind of a cosmic feeling whenever you are with somebody and you can write a song with them in 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and when you get done, it feel like, oh my God, I just wrote the best song in my entire life. But it's just a new feeling each song, and maybe they're not beating each other or whatever. It's not really the best song you've ever written, but it's that feeling, that completion of like, this is why music is so special, and this is what brings people together. And it's a very beautiful thing, and a beautiful connection to have when you can share the connection of music with people, which is literally how our friendship started. And again, how like I feel like I can connect to any one of my friends or family or anybody is just like by turning on music, and like what that connection is specific to each relationship. It's very beautiful. But for me, mine and PJ's writing relationship and bond is something completely irreplaceable, and not something that I even really go looking for at all. Or, you know, if I'm not going to write a song with PJ, I'll just write it by myself at this point. And I think, yeah, it's just created a very safe place for me. It's great.
You mentioned family, which there's so much reverence and reference to family on, well, I think in all your music, but especially on this album. I mean, you've also talked about how your dad taught you a lot about dynamics in music, and also in Apple Tree, you have that vintage recording, your grandfather. Like, what is it for you that you love about including in terms of family with regards to your writing, and if you have anything you want to share specifically about this album and just sort of the connection to the people in your life that you include in it.
Yeah, I mean, specifically on my side of my father's side, like the real Cyrus family bloodline, there's a long lineage of musicians and songwriters and piano players and gospel singers and preachers, and really all of that was surrounded by music, whether it was gospel music or folk music or bluegrass music. It was surrounded, Cyrus family was surrounded by it. And by an early age, my father wanted to be a singer and pursued his dreams and went from living in a car to having one of the biggest songs in the world, and then inspiring us children to want to be just like him. And, you know, each one of, myself included and my siblings, we all just had such a clear role model that our dad, you know, made our relationship with music so special. And I mean, my mom is here, and it's not just my dad who had the musical genes, because my mom and I, she would drive me to every single horse lesson, and music was such a big part of growing up, and just dancing to in the car to ABBA, and like music was a constant connection to my family in every single way, not just the ones that can literally pick up an instrument or sing on tune. It was like music really is something that just breathed in our family. And this hymn that's featured in Apple Tree, recited by my grandfather, the actual hymn is written by my great-grandfather. So there's like 4 generations of Cyrus family featured on the record. My brother and I both writing, and also it being my record. But my dad's very first song he ever wrote, With You, that's featured on the record. And then you have my great-grandfather and my grandfather. So there's 4 generations from the Cyrus family putting in their own part onto the album, and it's really special. So it was really like, it was quite cathartic, and very healing, and also connected me to a part of my blood and my ancestry that I never even met my great-grandfather, so I feel so much more connected to that lineage and that bloodline just by making this album. My brother wrote one of the songs on it, Don't Put It All on Me, and I sought out his favorite artist of all time, and who he introduced me to when I was just in middle school, Fleet Foxes.
Yep.
And so I had
it's like a huge full circle.
Yeah, a huge full circle moment. Everything lately with this record has been full circle. I just went and played the Opry, played new music. You literally stand in the Opry circle.
It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy. So everything has felt in a full circle when in a connection to this record, and it's been very beautiful.
You also recorded With You, the very first song your dad ever wrote. What was that experience like in the studio?
Yeah, he used to sing that song just as like a song of comfort. I'd gotten my tonsils out because I just kept getting so sick on tour. So around 18 years old, I finally got my tonsils out. And when I literally couldn't speak. Worst week of my life, best week of my mom's life. Couldn't speak. But my dad just sat in the corner and played With You. And I had recently lost my friend, Jose. And I made a huge connection with that song and to him. And I knew that I wanted to cut the song and honor Jaw with the song because of how immediately I just thought of him. And even though I couldn't speak, laying there for my dad, I just had tears, coming down my face just thinking of him. And so I knew I wanted to have it on the record. But that was in 2018. So falling on this record in particular was very special. My dad, he wrote the song about a phone call he overheard his mom having with a dear friend of hers. And so that connection to my mama and losing her in the process of making this album right at the tail end of putting out the hardest part, it just all, again, is that full circle. And it's really beautiful. The album title is inspired by my grandpa, and the hymn written in apple trees. So yeah, it all just made sense for the theme to go through and through with family.
I think it's beautiful. Let's talk about New Country. It's especially with Blake Shelton's co-sign. And what did that song unlock for you creatively or emotionally? Like, tell us about that experience.
I think New Country for me is whenever I realize, oh, I'm making a country record, and not because of the title. I figured everybody would see the title New Country and think, oh, it's part of this new wave of new genre of more modern country, but that's really not what the metaphor is. And when I was writing New Country, I was really just learning. My dad always says, no matter where you go, there you are. And I was really going through that and figuring that out at the moment and wrote New Country. And there's just something in the sound and soul of Blake's voice that just something was telling me that Blake could tell this story with you and that his voice is going to reach the hearts and the lives of the people that need to hear it. And with someone that's been doing this as long as Blake has and has been an idol to so many country artists, and also just, you know, he was telling me stories about him and my dad before I was even alive. So, you know, that was kind of amazing just because it has always felt like he's been a part of my life, even not knowing him so closely up until now. And it really was just a meant to be type of thing. And I chased him down, you know, like, because everyone kept saying, oh, you know, Blake doesn't have the time. Blake doesn't have time. And you know that's bullshit. You're like, no, I've got to talk to the actual person, because I just don't believe, I just don't believe that Blake would hear this song and not want to sing it. And so I finally got his number and I wrote him very long letters.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, and I was just like, I'm meant to sing this song with you, and if I don't put it out with you, I'm not going to put it out at all. And he said, hey, I don't know what you've heard, but I heard that you were in a rush and that I couldn't do it. And I was like, see, this is why I needed your number, because we just caught the bullshit trap.
Yeah, you got that Capricorn tenacity.
Yeah. He never even heard the song. So, you know, then he was like, if you still have time to put this out, I'm like, all the time, whatever you need, you know? So we made it happen, and I still feel like I wouldn't have wanted to share that message with anyone else. And he's just, if anyone gets the chance to meet or work with Blake Shelton, you're very lucky, because he's an amazing human being.
I love that. As far as influences on the, you've cited everyone from Leonard Cohen, Nick Cave, Dolly Parton, Bob Seger. How did you pull all those inspirations into something that still feels so uniquely you?
I think that I took my favorite parts of those artists and those songs, like specifically, I think their songwriting and their songwriting tactics and the themes, and that was, you know, a lot of the inspiration from, you know, those specific artists was their songwriting and their ability for storytelling, especially like country songs. And then I think on the sonic side, I brought in a bit more of that Americana sort of indie inspirations that I loved so much, like Band of Horses and Fleet Foxes and My Morning Jacket. And then I wanted to like mix it and make this weird concoction of classic country and this kind of more modern indie rock Americana that also, I mean, influenced my last record. I did a song with Benjamin Gibbard on my last record, and Death
Great
Cab.
song.
Yeah, Death Cab was a huge inspiration to me as a young kid. A lot of these artists that, like, you know, if they weren't true classic country singer-songwriter legends, then it was more people that I really found in middle school and that my older siblings introduced me to. And Brazen, I tell this all the time now because of Don't Put It On Me, but it's one of my favorite things about this record is Brazen would drive me to school and to horseback riding lessons, and he would play all of these songs, and Robin being one of them. And we'd listen to Fleet Foxes and harmonize in the car. And again, it's that full circle thing, and having a song that he wrote for me on the record and then honoring him with his favorite band singing the song with me. It just something feels very special, and it kind of feels like a record I'm not gonna make again, just because of how written in the stars everything was and was connected. The record actually released just by chance on my grandfather's birthday, and none of us planned that or had any idea that that was happening. But my dad texted me, Pappy says happy birthday and happy record release. And my jaw was on the floor. I was, how did I not realize that it was
That's
coming out on
amazing.
Pappy's birthday? So everything about it has just been really natural, and has been happening all in the right ways, and not by force, all by really somebody up there is working hard to make sure it aligned
Yeah,
quite
it's you
beautifully.
too, I think. You don't realize it, but I think you are bringing all of that. You're the common denominator in all of that, just so you know.
And I literally, I'm gonna say it again because you're coming up and singing with me later, but Love is a Canyon is fully inspired by Orville. And if you listen to it, you can listen in my performance whenever I'm down in the low voice I'm falling into. I'm hitting my Orville. And whenever I listen to it, I'm like, how does he not know that I'm just literally copying him
No,
in
I'm
his
honored.
voice?
We inspire one another.
Think of myself as a road. um, but yeah, it's awesome sharing that love with family and friends, and because music, you think of like Against the Wind and why it means so much to me. I was talking about this in the car with my manager. I laid in my grandmother's hospital bed as she was dying, and we sang Against the Wind, and it was right around the time her memory was fading, and she couldn't really remember a lot of people in the room. But the second that Against the Wind came on, it was, Billy, do you remember this year that it came out and what we were doing? And they were talking about that exact moment and where they were. And it was just so beautiful how music can take you right back to that memory and right back to that place, and something you can't remember at all. You hear a song and it all comes back to you. And it's beautiful that you can share that love and that inspiration with fans and with family and friends that make music. It's a blessing to have, because it really is just music, I think, heals on a whole other spiritual level, and
Well,
it's great to have friends.
it's beautiful
and
that you
connect
want
with
to do
that are-
that. That you want to share that with your friends and family and all of us. So we're very grateful that you're like that. A lot of people aren't.
You too.
There's a thread of nature woven through the whole project, from I Saw the Mountains to the imagery of horses that you use in everything. I know, and there's themes of fire and wind. And how does the natural world influence your songwriting?
I grew up on a 500-acre farm in Nashville, and where nothing was around but our horses and the deer and our barn. And that was what I missed the most when I moved to California. But, it was important to me, and also I think for my family, that I didn't lose that as a child. And so I spent all of I literally was homeschooled, because I went to horse shows every weekend. I was at the barn Monday through Friday, and like, it was just my entire life. And I always have felt a connection with nature and with animals that felt much deeper and much more emotional and on another level. And it really, I started just seeing my life reflecting back at me whenever I was going and spending that time in nature, and what it all means, and what life means to me, and who do I want to be while I live this life, and who do I want to forgive, and who do I want to make amends with, and who do I want to be a better person for. And there were just so many things, and nature really brought that to me. And nature, I was, right before putting out the album The Hardest Part, I was severely depressed and suicidal and dealing with addiction, and nature pulled me out of that, because it was nature that reminded me that life is so beautiful and that it's worth being alive to see. And so I put all of that into the record. So nature's just been like a constant friend and a good place for me to go and clear my head and rediscover myself if I feel like I've lost it. Which I lose it a lot.
But we always get it back.
Your headline tour kicks off September 12th. Yeah. Get your tickets.
He's going to be selling tickets downstairs.
I'm going to be, exactly. I'm going to be, what is it?
He jacks the prices way up, folks. Don't trust him.
Exactly. And Rolexes. Check your watches after this. How are you thinking about translating this very personal, introspective album into like a live headlining tour? What's that going to look like?
I think even though it feels like it's about to happen and I should have it all figured out, I'm still, figuring out how do you, because for my live shows here and in London and everything, I got to do live, beautiful florals. But packing that up every single night, be a lot of florals and a lot of different florists we'd be contacting. So we're kind of I'm figuring out just what that design looks like, but I want to bring the nature into those theaters, and I want it to feel very refreshing and like this renewal of life and transition. And because it is where a lot of my work, it's heavy what it's saying, but it's also like very transitional and goes to a much more hopeful place. So I definitely want to, because my last tour, I wanted it like red lights and heavy sub, and like now it's kind of the opposite. I want you to feel like you're out in the meadow with Edward Cullen, with the sparkles glistening off of his skin.
I can't wait.
That'll just be you. We're gonna spray him down with sparkles.
It'll be me just on stage. Yeah. I'm down, honestly. What is one song from the album that you are most excited to perform live, and why?
Oh, well, I love XXX. Gabe Witcher, the incredible fiddle player that does the solo on the song, is actually here tonight, and he'll be playing with us. XXX, I just love so much because of the energy that was in the studio that day, and just how naturally he so effortlessly slayed a 2-minute fiddle solo, and one of the most incredible ones I think I've ever heard in my life. And so that's one of my favorites. And then Apple Tree, just because of the meaning and the connection that I have to it.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Are they behind you going, I see him going.
I do have one question left, though, for you. Noah and I always joke about when people at restaurants go like this for the check. Just so you know, that's what that was. Or I'll call you.
Yeah, call me. Like I'm right here. Why aren't you?
How did I know it was going to devolve into this? We've been keeping it together so well, so professional. Okay, lastly. How do you hope people feel after listening to I Want My Loved Ones to Go With Me front to back?
I hope that it can bring them a nostalgic, peaceful feeling that is not painful or of that sorts, but just feels comforting and feels like something that they've like a memory. Like I want it to feel comforting and like they're going back home, or like they're coming home and just looking back at a greater time of life, but without sadness and without, jadedness or without heartbreak, but just for what it was. And I hope that gives them a very comforting and nostalgic feeling.
Please give a big round of applause for the wildly talented Noah Cyrus.
Thank you.
Noah's going to be back with her band in a little bit to play some music. I'm so excited. Thanks for listening. Oh, wait. Do Do I do the other questions now?
What?
No.
What question?
I know that there were some.
There were other questions. Oh, they're the crowd questions.
Do I do those now?
Do we do those now? Oh, where are they?
Do we do those now?
Oh, they're in
Oh,
your
I have
hand.
them, but are we asking those now? Okay, got it. Sorry, I do have them. They're in my pocket. Here we go. It's like a magic trick. Okay, these are sourced from the crowd. Handwritten. Look how cute. This one, it says, "How was your time on American Idol?"
Why does that crack me up? I was a guest host for one episode. My time on American Idol was fantastic. It actually made me realize that I was a vocal coach in my other life, and that if this fails, then I'm going to be a vocal coach, or need to be, because I actually loved it. I came home telling my mom, like, I want to be on American Idol. No, I really loved it.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, this one says, "What's the story behind the name of your album?"
We kind of covered
Yeah, we did
this.
kind of cover it.
Yeah, I Want My Loved Ones to Go With Me was the name of a hymn my great-grandfather wrote, and the hymn is featured on Apple Tree and recited by my grandfather, Pappy. Yeah. Before figuring out how to say that quickly, it was like, okay, how do I say this? Like, the song sung by my grandfather is on my album, and it's not the album song's title. The title isn't on the album, you know.
I like that version though. You should tell them that. Okay, and last question from the audience. It says, "What song on the album means a lot to you right now?"
A
Is there
song
one-
on the album that means a lot to me right now is "Man in the Field." I think while making "Man in the Field," I was like, is there drums? Is there no drums? We went through like three different drum patterns, like 4 on the floor, maybe just like tom hits, or like, and it just, everything just kept going back to like its originality and its original form. But I'm like, now that I've had space from it, and I'm not like, what should this be? What should this be? I like love "Man in the Field" now. And every time I listen to it, I'm like, okay, it's exactly how it should be, and I'm happy with it. So I've been listening to that one lately because I just avoided it the entire album process.
I love when that happens. It
Yeah,
comes
you're like,
back around.
I'll come back to that later.
Sometimes you need to do
I'll
that.
put a pin in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now
Okay.
please give it up for Noah Cyrus. She's gonna be back singing
Thank
some
you.
songs.